In 2025, it feels like we're getting a new top player every single day, showing that this game is thriving, but I want to talk about the people who define the playstyles in Smash Ultimate. People will tell you there's only defensive, but I disagree, so we're going to be talking about today. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, and I would love if you were a part of that, but let's get into it. First, as a disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about the players that I think exemplify this the most, not the characters that exemplify this the most. These characters will probably make an influence on like who I would choose, but it's going to be mostly saying the players who are the best at using these playstyles effectively. First, we're going to be talking about the zoners. So zoners I usually describe as people who want to control space with moves telling your opponent that you can't be in that space and using that pressure to influence their opponent. These are usually characters that are projectile based or sword based, saying that these giant moves that you don't want to run into because you're going to take a lot of damage, and are people who are really good at controlling that space and making it so they feel like they're always pressuring their opponent no matter how far away they are. When worded like that, I think it's pretty obvious that the best player in the world at doing that is Doromigi. Doramigi's Min Min is fantastic at controlling space. It's honestly insane how much we haven't seen Min Min before Doramigi and Proto Banham just show that this character is broken, because there aren't that many Min Min players. So when you do find one, you find out that this character is nuts. The zoning is crazy, her range is nuts, and Doramigi is so aggressive with his arms that it feels like every time you get touched a little bit in neutral, you just might die. People describe this as being a Luigi when you can kill people very quickly, but no, I think Doromigi just says you cannot come into my zone and I will destroy you if you try. Next up is Rushdown. Rushdown is using your movement and pressure to suffocate your opponent and cause them to panic and influence their decisions. When you usually hear that, you usually think of fast characters and characters who press a lot of buttons. I think most people would understand that Cola was the forefront of this for a very long time and still is one of the best people at using this. His Roy really feels like you never are in a comfortable spot and you always are there to get hit by something and comboed, and always feels like your shield is such a bad idea because he's dancing around it. Cola is amazing at that, but I think there is another player that does it slightly better. I think as good as Cola is at doing this, I think it'd be straight up disrespectful if I didn't say Light was the best at being a pressure demon. I think Fox is incredible at this, not only having laser to influence people who just want to dash back because you don't want to take too much laser damage because it's going to lead to you dying more, having dash attack, having incredible moves at pressuring shield, having ridiculous combos. The Fox Vortex was known as something in Smash 4 and it's still a thing now. I think being the forefront of Fox is just what makes Light so impressive, because it feels like Fox, you got a few changes throughout the game, like his downer got changed so now it comboed into up smash. He still has like the speed that you know him for all the Smash games, but it feels like Light was the one to stick it through. It feels like no matter how many times he was told as the only Fox, or how many times he was just getting cheesed early, or how many times he died to nonsense, it was always Light who was there to show that this character is crazy. It still is unfortunate that while he is trying to fight for number 1, that he's only number 14 right now, but it would not surprise me to see him back in the top 10 and even the top 5, because he's just so good at stressing people out with this character. The next section is going to be Grappler. With their primary offensive tools being throws, they use the threat of these options to stress their opponents out, making them make a mistake into their loving, high damaging arms. And usually when I think of that, I think of Luigi, because his of course grab is nuts, but you know, he has extremely good moves outside of that. Donkey Kong is of course another great example of it. I feel like most people understand that Donkey Kong is a lot better now than he was before. The Donkey Kongs have gotten better, they stayed more grounded, they use down tilt more, they're not missing their ding dong combos. They're still not the best character, but Donkey Kong is very prevalent now, and more than ever since we have a Donkey Kong in the top 50. Milo Naho is incredible with Donkey Kong. He has other characters, I'm pretty sure he has a Bowser and a Brawler, but I know him for Donkey Kong, and it's great to see another top player come through, because Donkey Kong has been incredible for multiple years, but hasn't been around as much. But Mild is showing that this character is stupid if you play carefully. But I still think there's an obvious answer to the best grappler in the world, because he's still in like top 10, and it's Raru. No matter how many Luigis are out there, I will always think of Raru as the Luigi of the new age who really made everyone see that this character is messed up. Of course, Waka's fantastic, Luigi's fantastic, we've had good Luigis before, but Raru is the best one and the best at just stressing people out about Luigi's grab, especially because Luigi can do crazy combos even without grab. It's just being near them at all is disgusting. But because grab was the forefront and the main reason people were stressing about this character in the first place, I think it makes sense to give it to Raru. This next section I'm going to be describing as footsies. You have confidence in the space in front of you, usually right outside threat bubbles and poking a ton in their face. This style begs the players to try to hit you, invading them with your movement, punishing with parrying, or using broken anti-airs. I would say all the FTC are fantastic at doing this. Usually you will see top players like Jazo use it. He's very good at parry punishing people and using his movement to just be right outside of where you think you can hit him and then doing a full combo that gets you on Twitter. Jazo's fantastic at this. I'll also say Riddles is fantastic at this. Well, he is retired, but he still was the pioneer of just being that Kazuya player and staying in people's faces, making it so that he used this broken anti-air if they try to touch him. It was awesome. I still think though that there is an obvious choice for this one as well, and it probably goes to Hurt. Now this might be a very strange choice actually to some people, because isn't zoners kind of the whole thing with Snake? And yes, he does zone quite a bit, but I'd argue that even though he has the tools to zone, like this is the hybrid thing that I think Smash is just guilty of, I think Hurt's movement in front of you is disgusting. He is very good at just being right outside your bubble, but when he is in your bubble, it feels like you're in disadvantage because he has a grenade in his hand or is just ready to move right around you. His movement is one of the best, if not the best in the world, and I think his footsies is what makes him so impressive with Snake. Of course Snake can zone, of course Snake can just throw projectiles, but without Hurt's movement, I don't think people would see Snake as the top 3 character they do right now. I do think that while Jazo is still fantastic and the FTC characters fit into this mold a little better, I think Hurt's footsies is why he is a top player and is why he is my pick for the best footsies player in the world. And the last one is the all-rounder, or the king of fundies. The person who uses all the basics of Smash to mold into a solid player overall, and at least a strong understanding of each aspect of the game. There are a lot of contenders for this one. This is definitely going to be the hardest one to choose. It's possible that I could include any of the top Steve players here. Of course, Akola is a fantastic player, but Steve is so overpowered and overtuned that it's kind of hard to imagine that I would put a Steve here, because it's hard to really simplify all states of the game when your advantage state and neutral are just so broken. I still think a bunch of the Steves have bad disadvantages, but it truly doesn't matter because Steve's so broken that you can just make up for that by mashing Anvil and just trying to get out of disadvantage as fast as possible so you can go back to your broken neutral. Not that I'm really saying Akola exemplifies this, because he still has a bunch of different characters and is one of the best players in the world, but I do think there's one player I would give the crown as the king of fundies. You might not like the answer because of the character he plays, but I still think it's true. I think it's Sonics. When I think of an all-rounder, I think of somebody who can switch between playstyles on a dime if the matchup or player calls for it. And I think no one exemplifies that more than Sonics. His dedication to Sonic has shown that he can just be malleable to any situation he's in. Yes, he has lost. Everyone in the world has lost. Yes, he does have struggle matchups, because of course everyone does. But I think he can be aggressive when he wants to be. He can be running you down, pressuring you a lot, and comboing you for like so much damage. He can be defensive when he wants to be. He'll camp anybody who can make him camp. He has to do it against certain characters, and he's very good at it. He can be in your face when he wants to be. His footsies are like literally fantastic. It's wild how many nairs he gets on top players. I don't know how he does it. He's just right in front of them and they can't touch him. He's so good at making decisions in Smash that I feel like if you don't call him the king of fundies, I feel like it's just hating on Sonic, which is fair. I hate Sonic too, but I think if there's somebody who switches playstyles the most and can just do it on a dime, I think it's Sonics. When I think of somebody who uses them all very well, I think of Sonics. And I think of somebody who has an equal amount of broken stats at like 150 on every stat, I think it's Sonic's. And you might not agree with me, you might have a better player in mind, but this is the list I'm gonna have, and this is the list I'll say. Thank you guys for watching. This was a fun one to do. What do you guys think about the playstyles? Who do you think fits them better? I'm very curious in the comments. I'll probably be arguing down there, and I'm gonna be seeing what you guys say, but thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Have a good day.